in the mid-pack of DOE Formula V, it's always chopping and changing, banging, and of course the last time we came here, there was some big action there. Theo, take us through what's happening for this year. There's some big changes and of course some exciting times in Formula V.
Do you want to speak about the accident or the rest of the year?
You tell me, mate.
Okay, well, first off, we've got a new sponsor, Technosa, on board this year. They signed up like 2 days before our previous event, so they're on board this year, and we're very thankful for them. We still got Bridgestone, DOE, Stop My Car, and First Race. We are a National Challenge Championship this year. We back on the national tour, so we're growing. We are 21 cars on the grid. The field is growing tremendously. We're 32 members this year, so everything is going awesome for Formula V.
Carl, from your side, how's things going in that mid-pack? It's always a big bit of car banging that happens out there.
No, for sure. I've been in the thick of things since the end of last year with my high flying in turn one. I'm outside of turn one. And then the previous race, we had a bit of a mishap, myself and Marcel, at the top of turn 5, where he decided to climb over me. So I've been in the thick of things. So I'm hoping to keep my nose clean going forward. And then I think then we're going to try and challenge these two fast oaks next to me. I'm close, but just not close enough, so we're getting there, hopefully.
Well, the challenge is on there, you can see there's no whole spot. What are your plans?
Yeah, it's difficult to the Oaks. The mid-pack is very competitive at the moment, and we all haven't had the best start to the season in the mid-pack. We've all had accidents. So we're all looking just to scruff down, really get into it. Like Carl said, beat these Oaks. I'm at the moment just ahead of them, but seeing them this weekend so far, I don't know if I'm going to stay ahead of them. I've really got to pull my socks up for that one. So it's great racing I'm expecting this weekend.
Second bit of single-seat action about to happen now with the DOE and Technosa machines making their way out. Formula V, the longest-standing single-seater championship in the world. And great to see some big support here this weekend for them. It's awesome to see 21 cars about to go to battle too, but always expect to see some big action in Formula V. These guys hold nothing back, and there's normally some wheel touching, some banging that happens in this pack. And we've seen it all season long. 109.2 was the fastest lap this morning in qualifying, and it was that one of Greg Wilson's that put him at the front end of the field ahead of Lendl Janssen in the Bull Security car. So we're looking forward to seeing what happens there between the two of them. But don't take out Gert van den Berg, Lucian Ramchanda, Peter Hills or Eric Boyens. Brandon Hills, Sean van der Linde, Kyle Watt and Josef Kotze. All of those top 10 competitive drivers could possibly be in the mix for the win here in race 1 of DOE Formula V. Jean-Andre Leroux, Marcel Bluchnout and Roy Douglas are just ahead of Albertine Pinar, Michael Koenig, Yannick Geyser, Clinton Kane, who we chatted to there in that pre-race interview. And look out for Dave Austin, Theo Vermaak, Helder Gavea and Blaine de Melon at the back end of the field for, of course, this first heat of Formula V's. Formula V action has always been good, particularly here at Zwartkops, so expect to see about 6 or 7 cars fighting for the lead, maybe even up to the top 10. All of them with a chance, as I said, of a victory here today. But, always one that you can count on to have non-stop action in. Must have had a I've got two different players on the front end of this field compared to what I see on the track there. It's definitely Gert van der Berg on pole position, although the qualifying said differently. Maybe they did a review and a revised version of that qualifying, so we won't go on what the sheet says. We'll go on what's happening on track, as we're about to go racing for the first one. Gert van der Berg, Eric Boyens, Greg Wilson and Peter Hills. Lucian Ramchanda and Lendl Janssen is how they line up according to what I see on track, but the qualifying sheet that was sent to us on the WhatsApp group says completely differently. Anyway, let's get ready to go for racing, because we're about to get into it now for the first time for DOE Formula V. Start delay. Issue there for somebody on the grid, by the looks of things. Maybe our arm up somewhere. A chance to maybe find that revised version of this grid. Let's see, race 2. Okay. Race 1. There it is. Yeah, definitely not what I've got. I've got Greg Wilson on pole position alongside Lennel Janssen. That's definitely not how they've lined up there. They did do a top 6 draw, which is possibly what changed it up here. Yeah, Paul, you are right. So the qualifying might be slightly different to the way that they line up for race number 1. So maybe that top 6 draw is what's shuffled that front 6 positions around ever so slightly. So Gert van der Berg must have drawn pole. And he's now ahead of Eric Boyens, Greg Wilson, who should have been on pole. Peter Hills in 4th, who was in 5th, and Lucian Ramchanda ahead of Lendl Janssen, who should be on the front row alongside Wilson. As we get ready to go now for this first heat, let's see what happens. This time, hopefully for the start. 30-second board is up. 5 seconds turns to lights going on, and then off we go racing. Oh, a couple of jump starts there, including the front man. So it didn't quite work out there, unfortunately, for that front row. Maybe getting caught out by the front row jitters there, but certainly 2 or 3 cars starting to go off the line before the lights went out. So there will be a couple of cars that will be under the scrutiny of the COC. It is Gert van der Berg who leads things out. Eric Boyens, I think, was the man who possibly had the jump start. I didn't pick up on the second car just behind, but there was definitely 2 or 3 cars that rolled before the lights went out. So a bit of work to do there for the COC of this category to sort themselves out as they get into the thick of it now for heat number 1 of DOE Formula V's. Big stone rubber on these cars as they head down into turn 4. And the heat into that rubber is vitally important, and you can see, as I said, 2 or 3 cars now dropped by the wayside for this first pack. And the first pack already starting to get up close and personal. The 33 car, Brandon Hill, starting to make his way through and diving on the inside of the man who made the mistake off the line, Eric Boyens. No issues at all for the 1 car. It's Gert van der Berg who leads things out over the 7 car of Wilson. Wilson's just ahead there of Lendl Janssen. Peter Hills in the mix there as well as Lucian Ramchanda. As they come across the line, a complete lap number 1. This is a 10 lapper for these drivers. In fact, a 12 lapper, I beg your pardon, for Formula V. So 12 laps of action coming away now for DOE Formula V. And there you go, side by side. It's Koenig and the 9 car. So a little bit of chopping and changing in the mid-pack too, as Theo Vermaak takes on Michael Koenig. Late on the brakes is Michael Koenig, but Theo Vermaak hangs on for now as they come through there and complete the first lap in anger. They're into lap number 2 now of 12. It's Gert van der Berg, Greg Wilson pulling away ever so slightly there from Peter Hills. Ramchanda has got huge intentions being shown by Lendl Janssen and Eric Boyens, who tries to make up ground. Remember, he's got to be as high up as possible if they do hit him with that 30-second jump start penalty. And that means he will be dropping possibly out of the top 10 completely, because that's how close these drivers and cars are in the Formula V category. 53 and 72, that is, of course, Albertine Pienaar and Roy Douglas going at it. Here is a move. The Bull security car of Lendl Janssen trying to find a way past. Not this time, though, on Hills. Carl Watt was saying he wanted to be slightly higher up. He's definitely higher up than what he has been all season long, that is for sure. Into the top 10 there, just behind Josef Kotze. And then a little bit of a gap down to Vermaak, Koenig, Albertine Pienaar and Roy Douglas. Koenig at this stage, the tail end of that third pack. Awesome late braking from one of the cars. I think it was Albertine Pienaar who locked up into turn 2. As they to go through into turn 4. This is the 7 car of Greg Wilson. Formation flying here from the DOE and Start My Car team. Peter Hills comfortably on his own in 3rd. Ramchanda having to fend off Lennell Janssen, which is possibly helping Peter Hills out to stay in front of that second pack and give himself a little bit of breathing room between that second pack and his car. As they come down the hill, you can see, Lennell Janssen has got through, and he's not happy about that. He's gesticulating something there to Lushan Ramchanda, maybe saying, come on, let's go. Let's work together here to close this gap down. Let's stop fighting and get to the front before we start fighting even more. Boyens just ahead there still of Hills, then Van der Linde. It's Sean Van der Linde going through there. The Truck City Boxburg car. Valentino Rossi helmet, but Eddie Irvine S colours on that race car. Comes out of turn 2. He's trying to catch the back end of Brandon Hills in the 33 machine. Ramchanda still in the mix there with Lennell Janssen. Losing a little bit of ground there to Janssen as they came out of turn 4. About a car length there he lost. Next we go to GDC's and Super Cup. Stand by for that action coming out of the first heat of racing for them. And there's a racing car there of Hills. And of course his dad just up the road there in 3rd. So Brandon currently in 7th, Peter in 3rd. 3 cars between them. Ramchanda is one of them. Then you've got Sean van der Linde on his own. 3rd pack come down the hill there with Kotze ahead of Carl Watt. And then it's Roy Douglas who's opened up a little bit of breathing room there. Making himself in that 5th pack of cars in the DOE Formula V's. Some action was always in Formula V's, and it's starting to get a little bit hotter in the race pace now. And the pace of the man out front, Vandenberg, and 109.5. Fastest lap of the race so far coming out of him. And certainly looking like he could be the man to take the first victory here today. He's certainly looking to maintain and retain that #1 plate for his team. And another championship in the bag if he can. Long way to go still, but the more you do early in the season, better it is for your chances, that is for sure, and particularly when you've got your teammate on your tail. Wilson there, ahead of Peter Hills and Lennell Janssen. And Lennell Janssen now trying to get onto the back end, and they've just closed that gap down now on Hills. Hills could be in trouble here as Janssen starts to put the pressure onto him. And still in 7th and Van der Linde in 8th, but now it's the Bull security car of Lennell Janssen. And Silver Oaks, of course, one of his sponsors as well. Looking for a chance to get through on the first of the Mangaza cars. Peter Hills, a multiple champion in this class, is at the wheel of that car right now. Van der Linde all on his own in 8th, long way ahead of Josef Kotze. Is Wilson starting to put a bit more pressure on here? It looks like he is. Greg Wilson definitely looking for a chance now to get through here on Gert van den Berg. And in fact the last pass went slightly quicker than the fastest lap we've seen so far. A 109.442 coming out of Greg Wilson, which is a lot quicker than the 109.5 we got out of Gert van den Berg. So yeah, definitely a pace upping here between the top 2. Coming across the line and another lap completed. We're now into, of course, the halfway stage. Here they come, under braking for turn 2. Fantastic run here between these two drivers, that is for sure. And non-stop action expected now between the two of them to the closing stages. Halfway through, and I think Wilson realizes he's got to up the game here. Peter Hills is going to have to just go defensive on Janssen, Ramchanda and Boyens. Defensive driving already starting to come now from Gert van den Berg as he realizes Greg Wilson, and he's got a little bit extra here in the hand heading into the closing stages. Let's see what happens here between them. Van den Berg holds the inside line. Ooh, Wilson with a little crossover there. Just catches it as they come into turn 5. little moment there for him. He would have been worried about that. It's certainly not what he wants at this stage. All sorted out and just got it slightly looped out. 109.3 on the last pass. Probably going to be another 109-ish kind of lap from Greg Wilson as they cross the line. He's got to make up ground now after that little mistake. Further back, Roy Douglas still continuing to fight it out there. You can see Theo Vermaak's in that battle too. This is a fantastic little fight here. Albertine Pienaar, Theo Vermaak. Marcel Bluchnoot's joined the crew as he dives on the inside looking for a way through. Koenig just behind that. Vermaak sees him coming and shuts the door. So the chairman of the board trying to keep out Bluchnoot and Koenig as they go into turn 1. Also trying to get onto the hunt there for both Albertine Pienaar and Roy Douglas. Action continuing here. This is of course down in 11, 12, 13, 14 and 15th place overall. And having some fun and games of their own as the battle now starts to heat up ever so slightly more at the front end between Van der Berg and Wilson. Oh, what a move there. Greg Wilson just squeezing the leader out. Coming out of turn 7, he just made it stick and he goes across the line now with about 3 to go. 4 laps to go for our lead pack of drivers, and it is Greg Wilson now who leads out. Oh, there's a move there from Theo Vermaak around the outside. He's got Douglas on his inside, and here comes Bluchnoot. Bluchnoot coming along 3x3 into turn 8. Could end up in tears here. Oh yeah, and I thought so. The 1-1-2, Marcel Bluchnoot had to go up onto the curbs, and it has cost him slightly, but Theo Vermaak's going to try and keep him out into turn 1. No, he carries the corner speed through. And Vermaak gets demoted down into the clutches now of Michael Koenig. Bluchnoot dives on the inside. Oh, he loops out! And a clip there. Koenig going wide, avoids the 2 cars looping out. Roy Douglas tried to avoid everything. He was just caught by the spinning car there of Marcel Bluchnoot. Fortunately, all the cars have got back on track. But a little bit of maneuver there between our Formula Vs. The first kind of action we've seen all day long, actually, coming out of Formula V. What did we expect? Nothing more than that. Ramchanda now still down in 5th place as our leaders cross the line. It's Wilson from Gert van der Berg. Ramchanda still not finding a way through there on Peter Hills. Paul's going to give a quick replay of that action into turn 2. You can see a big dive there from Marcel Bluchnoot. He was just too hot. And Roy Douglas tried to avoid the spinning car ahead of him. Great evasive driving from Theo Vermaak and from Michael Koenig. One went inside, one went outside. The 2 white cars ending up just behind and dropping by the wayside, unfortunately, and out of that battle. Wilson now pulling away from Gert van der Berg. Ramchanda doing the same thing here from Peter Hills. Oh yeah, there's a move. Ramchanda on the inside of Peter Hills into turn 4. Lionel Janssen has pulled away from the 2 of them because they've been fighting so hard. But a bit of a gap that's opened up now between the first 5 cars on track. Certainly not what was expected here. From my side of things, I thought it'd be a little bit closer between those front 5, but I think it was a couple of cars that got caught out initially there. And Greg Wilson has now just sorted things out, got into a rhythm, and with 2 to go, I don't think he's going to be beaten. GDCs and Super Cup, of course, are up next, so stand by for that action. There comes Peter Hills back, and Ramchanda trying to return the favour. Lucian hangs on, keeps him out, stays in 4th. Hills down to 5, where he qualified. Here's Michael Koenig on the return of Roy Douglas, who is fighting that car with a bit of damage, I'm sure, and he runs off into the kiddie litter. Douglas back on track. So as we into the latter half or the last part of this race, Koenig now ahead of Jannie Geyser. They are fighting for 13, 14 and 15th place. Behind that you can see it's Dave Austin closing on Roy Douglas. Still fighting hard there and still in with a chance of finishing up, of course, in the respective classes here in Formula V. Fantastic run here from the Formula Vs as always. They've put on a fantastic show at every single circuit they race at. But Greg Wilson has clearly been the class of the field here. He sat behind the leader, Gert van der Berg, for a long time. Let him dictate the pace and eventually decided, no, it's time to go. And he's pulled 10 car lengths now over Kat van der Berg, who's now got a little bit of problems of his own coming from Lennell Janssen in the closing stages with a lap to go. Will Lennell Janssen be able to keep him out? We'll have to wait and see. Fastest lap coming out of Lennell Janssen on that last pass, so he's done it to perfection. Can he use it to his advantage now to get through on Kat van der Berg? Van der Berg, of course, are going to try and keep him out. Van der Berg's got a problem. Look at him going defensive almost instantaneously. They came onto the back straight there, so he is going to have to fend for his life here into the closing stages. There are 4 corners to go on this racetrack, and Kat van der Berg is not happy behind the wheel of that DOE Quality Parts and Start My Car Formula V. Wilson is exceptionally happy. He knows that that Bull Securities machine and the Volkswagen Silver Oaks V is going to be hounding Kat van der Berg and stopping him from closing in on Greg Wilson. Wilson is going to take the 3rd victory of the season here, and coming to the line, that is the man to beat here at Zwartkops today. Wilson takes the win, van der Berg in 2nd, and Lennell Janssen just not enough time there to close in. One man we're going to have to watch out for is this Golf racing car of Eric Boyens. He was definitely a jump starter, so he will finish up down in 6th place, just ahead of Brandon Hills, but I think he may be getting himself a little jump start penalty. We'll get confirmation of that before race number 2. The Technosa and DOE Start My Car Formula V's have once again put on a fantastic show here at Zwartkops. Van der Linde finishes up in 8th place, Watt in 9th. Josef Kotze comes through to finish up just ahead of Albertine Pienaar, who comes through there. And Theo, well done Theo for Mark, finishing up in 12th place overall. That is how it wraps up the first heat of the day for Formula V's. It's Wilson from Van der Berg, Lennell Janssen with the fastest lap on that last lap to get up close and personal to Kat van der Berg, with Lucian Ramchanda behind him. Peter Hills in 5th ahead of Eric Boyens, who may get that jump start. If he does get the jump start, it'll probably drop him out of the top 12, with Boyens ahead of Hills, Van der Linde, Watt, Kotze, Pienaar and Vermaak, that top 12 as it stands.